I also wanted to talk about image management strategy. I don't know what if the name is a good one, but so a lot of you who used Iris prior to August 2015 were presented the idea that in Iris images are just automatically downscaled to conserve disk space. That's the default behavior, and the default size is 3 megapixel, which is sort of quite good for horticultural use. But if you want to print it on you know, a big banner or in a book or something, it's not really that great. From version 3.53, we looked at this and upgraded support to include, now it's 50 megapixel, meaning you can really store more or less the original photograph in most cases. If you do that, so what this does is that it can actually, then you can consider using Iris as your primary storage for your images. So you don't have a copy elsewhere or whatever. You always need to take backups and everything, but you could do that. Before that, we would have always say that you should have a plan of how you manage your digital assets. There are a lot of tools out there to manage images. So you know, if you want to go the professional route, you should seriously consider getting a professional tool to manage images, especially if you have more requirements beyond your plant collection, like the historical collection typically would do. So you can set it up. If you go that route using high resolution, we highly recommend that you talk to us, because you should then reconfigure a database to handle this in an efficient manner. You need to do something on the database really, because it's so what should we say, intensive on the disk space. And if you're using the free version of a SQL Server, you quickly run out. That has a limit space. So okay. Now, what we introduced with very recently is the possibility to integrate Iris with an external web-based image library. And that's something, has people got that? Have people heard about this, that we've done that? Yeah, yeah, some of you did. Yeah. But anyway, that was released quite recently. I don't remember exactly when, but it's, and that is part of, and it's a similar project to the one we've had with Ramat Hanadiv, Smithsonian Institution, the largest museum collection holder on the planet. They have, I don't know how many objects they have, 10 million or something, and it's ridiculous. And then they have gardens, quite a number, it's not that large, but it's still a serious collection. So they of course have images of all their sort of museum assets, and they also have photos of their plant collection, and they treat it as the same, so it all goes into their image management system, or digital asset management system. So they asked us if they were to buy Iris, we need to sort that out so they can put their images into their digital asset management system, and it somehow is integrated with Iris. So we delivered that in November, and I think we're sort of very nearly up and running now with the whole. That's a fully synchronized version. So that goes back to what Mats asked me about synchronizing with the common names or other things. We now have in Iris the capability to set up an automatic scheduled job to pull data from somewhere and push it into Iris. So that's rather cool, actually. But it's super geeky, and for some of you, you now might sort of feel like dropping off. So it's a bit risky to talk about this so late in the day, but I will. I think it's, you know, what it does, I suppose, what this is really classical example of Iris growing without you knowing it, and it doesn't interfere with your life. So because you don't need it, it doesn't create noise, which is really nice, I feel. When we come with new features, if it makes it worse for you, then we made a mistake, and this doesn't, I think. So let's go back. So here's a quick diagram. I'm just going to show you quickly. So the workflow here is that the people in the garden, or the photographer, they put the data into their digital asset management system, and then whatever they decide, every night, whatever, we figure out if there hasn't been any new images added. We pull the metadata of the image over to Iris, And then the image is stored in a database that has a URL, so we can then stream that image to Iris and take a small copy of it and stick it in Iris. So that goes automatically every night. And then the gardeners look at the image and they rank it. So they say, okay, this is really good, this is rubbish. And then they pull it back in to their system, and that will make the decision whether it goes off to the collections.si.edu. That's their collections search website, which is generic for all kinds. So you can search for Louis Armstrong's trumpet, or you can search for an orchid. You know, they all come up. And then they have their own Garden Explorer. It's out there, but it's not official yet. Hush, hush. But so they push their data out here with their plant collection, and you know how Garden Explorer works. So it's collection specific. But when they then click on the photo to look at it, we will then go straight to there to pull the high-resolution image from their digital asset management system again. So it's a really neat little sort of dancing act of data transactions. Yeah, so that's how that works. So I'm going to show you then something you didn't know, maybe. So just exemplify it a little bit better. I'm just going to close this floor summary. Sorry. Quickly. So, oops. Someone changed my password. You may have seen this already, but if you haven't, I'm just going to now go. I'm going to go show the example properly. What's it? Imgur, isn't it? Yeah. So, Imgur, or I don't know how you pronounce it in English, but Imgur, I don't know. This is a semi-free. I don't know how far you can get with it on a free license, but it's a typical image storage online thingy like Flickr, etc. I don't know. It might be useful for gardens. I haven't investigated that, so don't take my word for it. But you know, they're quite generous with storage capacity, etc. So what you can do here is, let's take this one. If I now, let's say I had this was my plant collection, and we decided we'll push all of it online, and then people Flickr where it is. This you can see that through the image portal. And if I here, these are very generous, so I can then copy the link location, and then when I go to Iris, I'm just going to bring up the next session. Assume it's that plant, and then I can add. You see here the new feature you haven't seen is the blue one. And then I just add the image URL, and I'm now pulling the data from Imgur straight in. If nobody else is watching videos, here we go. So then Iris will just make a smaller copy, or depending on the resolution you've set yourself, and you have the URL here, so you can then click and go to the thing. So this can be set up slightly more sophisticated, like we've done with Smithsonian, where you actually configure where your web repository is for all your images, and then you just put in the image identifier, like an accession number for the image, and that will then automatically pull that together and put it like this. So and this one will then also be used online. So that gives you something more to think about, unfortunately, but it gives you more options. Yeah.
If this is not a permalink, what would happen? Would you just have a low resolution image stuck on your Garden Explorer, or would it just disappear?
Yeah, well, we keep a small copy here,
yeah.
So that's your backend, which is not very great. But, yeah, but how it will behave on Garden Explorer is a bit more tricky. I think it will fail when you. So you know. Needless to say, if you go this route, think about carefully how you're going to do it, and make sure you go for a really robust and sustainable model that you will last a few years instead of, and hopefully for a very long time. So, yeah.
How's the link, the matching between the photo and the right text size is done automatically?
No, that's done super manually. You just have to do it as you do it elsewhere. You have to.
Oh, I thought it was loaded every night.
Oh yeah, in Smithsonian, they so what they do there, they when they take the photograph, they have a specific field where they put the accession number with the qualifier.
Oh.
So they actually identify every single plant. And that's a nice thing with Smithsonian. They're really stickler for detail and very used to being very particular about everything. So it does work. You know, there's no very little sloppiness going on. So that's good. Yeah.
Does this Smithsonian thing mean that we can actually set up Garden Explorer with automatically updates?
Yeah. Okay, so it's a good question. I'll show you. There is in Iris there's a sort of something called Iris Tasks that's already installed on your machine, where you can sort of type in a command line and things like that. There is also on our download page. Where's the website again? Oh, there it is. I was there already. Hello. On our download page, you will see that there's a tool down here, which is called IrisBGEuro2016, which is a tool that you install on a single computer to do these things. So basically, it can do automatic data import and upload to Garden Explorer and a few other things. Have a look at that and see if that's. But you don't need to install this if you want. You can also write a sort of a script kind of thing. Yeah. The nice thing with this one is it will also send you an email when it's sent, so you get a confirmation that it's completed the job. Okay. I don't know. F11. So. I have a copy here that here it's a bit clunky, but this is how it looks. You basically have different jobs, and then the job looks like this. You have to put in your password, Iris password, Iris login name, and then you can write a data query against the database and pull data from there. And it's a lot of options, but it's a bit techy, but it can do different things anyway. And I wanted to plug another thing here since I have your attention. There was some really interesting presentation from Anne-Lane and Ralph, and that is I'm going to show you a cool thing. Just open up Excel here, blank workbook, and then I'm going to go to reports and run a taxa list. No. Just quickly, bear with me. So, oh no, that was far too little. Sorry, I wanted more than one. Okay. For those of you who work with data import, you often get lists of plant names in a hopefully a digital form, and then you can work with it. But you know that with data import, you need to split the name into genus, species, etc. Now, you can do this either manually, or you can just have it in your spreadsheet and click on your IrisBG tab, and click this one, and then you have it split up in separate columns.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you keep this for the last second.
Yeah.
Tell us in the morning.
So it's not 100% perfect, but it sort of makes an attempt, a good attempt.
Yeah, I tried this, but I couldn't understand the divide sheet.
You couldn't understand, sorry?
How do I use that one?
Well, the way it works is that I create a new sheet for you. So you're in your main sheet. I didn't dare to create it so it messed up your existing sheet. So we just create a new tab sheet at the bottom here, and then you just need to copy that and get back to your existing sheet, and then make sure you have the right columns and insert it carefully. you can give me feedback and we can see if we can sort of stuff it in there. But it's just, if you have a spreadsheet of 20,000 lines or whatever, it's sort of, try not to touch your data, but instead of giving you the data and you can do what you like with it. But yeah, so here's a few other tools here. So this is also available on that famous download page. Excel and Word added. So here you can see what the different functions does. There's a divide sheet, etc.